I also made the case for owning Bitcoin, the quintessence of scarcity premium. It's literally the only large tradable asset in the world that has a known fixed maximum supply. By its design, the total quantity of Bitcoins cannot exceed 21 million.
Bitcoin is the hardest money that has ever been invented.
If you don't have my private key, you cannot spend my Bitcoin, period. And this is the power of Bitcoin.
It's the first time we figured out how to create true property that you can take possession of with full custodial rights.
Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome to Solo Rip number 26. This is 26. I think I said 26 last week, but it was actually 25. Y'all know that I don't be following these numbers. I just do it to keep in order. This is just block by block, episode by episode. But I did confirm before we started recording here that this is indeed Solo Rip number 26. These episodes are flying by. You guys love these episodes, and I love delivering these episodes, and that's very important there. But check out the main chain episodes. Those are the original Talking in Bits episodes. They still happen every Wednesday, where I get really, really great guests come on and basically educate me, but then educate anybody who's willing to listen on really big, important topics. So a few weeks ago, we had Andy from Crowd Health, and we spoke about the healthcare system. This very last one, depending on when you listen to this, episode 84 with the Meat Mafia was all about, how food has basically failed us and food continues to slowly but surely destroy us. And it was a really good episode. And I love bringing you the main chain episodes as well, because I learned a shitload in the process. And you guys can too. So check out that main chain episode. But I appreciate all the support and love that we're getting here on the Solo Rip. And we got Solo Rip number 26 here. So just to kind of go through some of the boosters, some of the listeners, some of the hive, some of the whatever. And I have to think of a really cool term. If you have a really good idea, drop it in the boost and drop it in the comments. But I've been talking to a lot of podcasters lately, and I basically tell them, how Marty and Odell have the freaks. You need that, right? You need a name for your audience to identify itself. You need a name for you to speak to your tribe and your tribe to speak back. Because at the end of the day, I'm only speaking to my tribe, to the Talking to Bits guys and gals. If we have new people come in, then that's great. The tribe gets bigger. But I'm not trying to speak to the people that are leaving the tribe. I'm only trying to speak to the tribe. And Marty and Odell's example, they're trying to speak to the freaks. They don't really care about anything outside of that. If you want to identify yourself and bring yourself in as a freak to the tribe, awesome. If you don't, then that's okay. Keep it pushing and go find something else. But that's something that we need here at Talking a Bits. I don't really like the term hive. I think that's been overused. I really haven't really thought much about what it can be. But the freaks is a good example of what it is, and I appreciate y'all. So let's get through it. BTC Jason, thanks for the boost, man. Yeah, man, we're fighting every day. I'm fighting every day. Shows like this fight every day. What I do for a living is fighting every day. There's so many out here, including you, I'm assuming, are fighting every single day. We saw it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So once we saw, most of us, and we all get it at a different time, once we saw what the monetary system was doing to our lives, to our parents' lives, to everybody around us, and then the healthcare, we just went down that rabbit hole, man, and we started to fight. Some people are spectators in that fight, as I like to say, but it sounds like you, BTC Jason, are in the fight with me, and I appreciate it. It makes me feel good that I got comrades, that I got backup here in this fight, because it is going to be a much bigger fight. So thanks for the boost. I appreciate you on that. At Brian, I see you checking out some of those main chain episodes, which is what I was just talking about. Main chain is just as good as the side chain, if not better. There's a lot of signal there. And if you ever get tired of listening to me specifically talk, then those main chain episodes will give you a breather, because I really like to focus on the guests that I have on. I really like to let them share their knowledge. So, because like I said, I'm sitting there and I'm learning as well. So at Brian, if you continue to be a listener, let us know who you want on the show. Let us know who you want to hear from. Let us know what type of topics you want to hear from. If you give us some topics, then we'll get you some sat streaming your way. And if you just want to get a guest on here, just let me know, tag them, let them know you want them to be a part of Talking in Bits. That goes to everybody that's listening. If there's somebody that you think should be in Talking in Bits, or would like to hear on Talking in Bits, tag us, tag me, tag that person. Let us know. We'll make it happen, and we'll make sure we're getting in the room to have the conversations that you want to hear. Because ultimately, the time that you guys donate on listening to Talking in Bits is your most valuable asset. So, Brian, thanks for the main chain support. Check out these solo rips if you haven't already. And we appreciate it. Let us know who you want on the show. Gene Everett has been one of the heavy hitters, keeps coming around. Gene, I appreciate you, man. Your love is felt. That's kind of the way that I could sum it up. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for pointing out some of the flaws in the show, whether I agree with them or I disagree with them. I still think it's important for feedback to be passed on from the listener to the creator in order for the creator to be able to notice, first and foremost, and be able to adjust accordingly there. The feedback makes me better. It makes the show better, and it's a win-win for everybody that's listening. Whether, like I said, I take you up on the feedback or whether I don't, I still think it's very important when you're giving your time up. And then value for value, when you're giving not only your time, but your Satoshis up, it's very important for me not to disregard that or anybody and say, hey, I don't want to hear that. Forget you. Like in a day-to-day conversation, maybe my thought philosophy would be, well, if you don't like it, scram, right? But in this situation, when you're giving up your time and when you're giving up your sats, I at least have to take it into consideration. And that makes me better. That makes us all better. Appreciate you for the continued support, Gene. Look forward to your continued support going forward. And I think you just onboarded one of your friends to value for value and boosting. So shout out to your friend for being intrigued. Shout out to you for doing the value for value pulling. I don't know what the term is there, but that's all leading to a bigger cause, and that's all helping us fight this fight, especially when it comes to decentralized medium that podcasting is and keeping it decentralized. Every single value for value boost Satoshi that gets streamed is another vote in the direction of keeping this privacy. I'm looking for the right terms here, but what I really want to do is we want to keep podcasting decentralized, and we want to keep it resistant to shutdown, resistant to all these things. There's a lot of terms we can use for that. But every sat streamed in that direction in the Value for Value podcast is a vote for further decentralizing this and making sure that podcasters can't be censored or giving them the avenues to go to so they can't be censored. But thanks, Gene. I appreciate that. Joey DD, thanks for the support, man. Glad you're enjoying the content. Be sure to reach out and let me know, like I've been saying, how we can improve. The boost section is how you do that. The boost section is how you tell us if you fuck with us. The boost section is tell us if you hate us. That's what all that is there for. Improvements, support, whatever it is you guys got to do. So Joey DD, I appreciate the support there. Bubba, thanks for listening, man. I've been following you for a little bit. I know I'm a little bit aware of who you are. I appreciate for the listen. And, like I said in the comment to you, I know what you mean, where it's like, fuck them. If you're a grown person and you can't handle some cursing, then go fuck yourself. I do agree with that to a certain extent. But like I said, man, I just like to let people know where I'm at. I like to let people know that, this is what frustrates me and this is what brings out that anchor. And then after that, they can make their own decision. If they think that I'm still somebody that they shouldn't be listening to, well, it's their time. They can do whatever they want. On the other hand, if they agree with my transparency and see that it's an actual added benefit to what I do, then they'll stick around. But Bubba, I appreciate the support. I appreciate you stopping by just to give me this one thought, which is, in the day-to-day world, is kind of true. We all need to do what we feel is best for ourselves, whether that's the listener walking away or whether that's the creator being transparent. And the cards will fall where they fall. But that's where we are there. So that wraps up the boost for last week's episodes. Appreciate y'all. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep the support coming. Keep the information and feedback coming. Makes the show better. I appreciate y'all. Kind of just did one of those Kamala Harris moments, didn't I? Where I was just coming and just saying the same word over and over again. Actually, that reminds me of that old Arnold Schwarzenegger line that he would use where he's like, I come on this, I come on that, I come on. So yeah, I didn't mean to do that, but you guys get it. Those boosts are very important to the structure of the show and keeping this decentralized. And don't just boost me, go boost your favorite podcaster. It's a vote in that direction. All right, so let's get into the topics here now. So I saw some squabble happening on Bitcoin Twitter because Prime Trust had an issue in the background, and then it kind of spawned this idea, this conversation that I wanted to have here on the show, which is, we should be able to know who it is we're getting our Bitcoin from specifically. What I mean by that is there's a trend that happens, in the business here, especially where early startup Bitcoin companies, where, there's a wrapper company, right, that basically does the marketing, does the onboarding, does the education, does the product and the offering, and then there's a foundational understructure layer that may handle some of the bigger stuff like the custody or the approvals for finance to be able to swap money back and forth. Now, this isn't a rare thing in business whatsoever. If you're a startup, you obviously need to scale certain things that you can afford and outsource certain things that you can't afford. If you can't build up a whole financial infrastructure from within, then you're going to obviously have to go look for that outside. So Prime Trust is the example that we have here. And this topic, they seem to have had some issues and go down. And a lot of Bitcoiners started to point out that, Prime Trust is the foundational financial partner for a lot of our more popular Bitcoin companies. And that's Strike. That's one of them. Swan Bitcoin got a lot of crap for it. I think, those are the only two that I know specifically that I use, but I'm sure they power a lot of the different financial aspects of a lot of different apps. Once again, not a secret, nothing that's scary. But in my argument, now products are starting to expand more. Now we're starting to get more of a more Bitcoin. We're starting to separate, just traditional VC startups versus real Bitcoin companies. We're starting to see that. And you guys may take this as a shameless show, but by the end of this conversation, you'll see why it's not. At Unchained Capital, you're buying your Bitcoin directly from Unchained, right? And it's going directly into cold storage, right? You're not buying from Prime Trust. You're not using Unchained as a wrapper to get to a different type of financial subset structure where they can hold and custody your funds. There's none of that. You have an Unchained vault. You set up that vault, right, through Unchained. You have custody of it, so Unchained doesn't have custody of it. Prime Trust doesn't have custody of it, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you go to use the Unchained trading desk, right, you buy Bitcoin directly from Unchained. They're not using a partner. And then that goes directly into your cold storage vault that you control. Now, this doesn't stop some other attack vectors, because I can hear the listeners now, oh, well, you can still kind of go after my name and go after. Listen, there's still some things and some layers that every business that's conducted here with regulation needs to adhere to. KYC, AML, right? There's these things that you need to do. But if you were to limit your attack vector when it comes to buying Bitcoin from a party you don't know or from a wrapper, this will be the way to do it. And I don't mean wrapper by 10111 or 1212, I should say. I mean wrapper like a candy wrapper, like a company that just sits outside where something is happening in the underneath. And now when something happens to like the Prime Trust of the world, whether it's a hack, whether it's any type of attack vector, now you're open to that attack vector, and you shouldn't be, right? Because you should be dealing with the company direct. Will the company take blame for what's going on? Sure. I think Swan is honorable enough of a company to basically say, hey, this is on our partner, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, it didn't happen because Swan got attacked. And I'm not giving any direct examples, just more general examples. You are going to have to deal with it as a Swan client regardless, because Swan is partnering with them. As for the transparency of how things work, I'm sure they're very transparent. I'm sure when you're on board, they tell you that Prime Trust is actually handling this in the background. But like I said, more and more Bitcoin companies are now starting to get to the level, to the standard where you're conducting business directly with them. And that's the way it should always be, in my opinion. So just keep an eye out for that. That's all I really wanted to tell y'all listeners. There is companies that are wrappers for other things that are going on underneath. Make sure you do your due diligence when you're scoping out the company to not only custody your Bitcoin, but to buy Bitcoin from, because there is situations that could come back and bite you in the ass if you're not paying attention. And sometimes they're not even with the person or the company you decided to do business with. They're with the partner of that company, and that is lame. In my perfect world, I think Bitcoin only companies should start focusing towards that Bitcoin standard. We all understand on how to keep Bitcoin on the balance sheets, so there isn't a universe where you can't just sell directly to your clients. And I'm not a professional here, maybe a CPA or somebody will tell me otherwise. There is no scenario here where you want to be able to sell directly to your clients Bitcoin that you have in reserve and then be able to replenish your reserve on a periodic schedule. I don't know if that's even possible, but I would like to think that there needs to be a better one-way layer of interacting with Bitcoin and a company than there is with this staggered layer of partners and partners and partners doing certain things. That's just my opinion on that whole thing. I'm going to move on to Saylor here really quick because I'm going to try to play the audio here. I'm going to try to stem the audio or connect this audio for during the edit. So when you guys are watching this episode, I'm going to intervene it somewhere around here.
With every other asset on Earth, anything else you can own, houses, gold, silver, commodities, stocks, bonds, when the price goes up, the supply increases. If I increase the price of any stock by a factor of 10, the company issues more stock. Of course. Bitcoin's the only thing in the world that's inelastic to price. If the price of Bitcoin triples, you can't make any more. If the price goes up by a factor of a million, you can't make any more. In engineering, there's something called conservation of energy. And the whole point of conservation of energy is energy can either be made or destroyed. There has to be conservation of it. The mathematical metaphor and mathematical analogy to that is proper math. 10 plus 10 equals 20. 2 plus 2 equals 4. If 10 plus 10 ever starts equaling 18, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
If you have a swimming pool with a leak, if I have an electric system with a short circuit, if I have a leak in my engineering system, nothing works. Nothing in the world of ocean engineering, aeronautical engineering, electrical engineering, nothing works unless you respect conservation of energy. The problem with inflation is inflation does not respect conservation of energy. I've got a leak in the system. I've designed a currency which is not conservative. So properly understood, if you said, I want a conservative money supply, a conservative money supply would be there's $10 billion in the economy and nobody prints anymore.
Right.
And that's the Austrian economic sound money principle. Bitcoin is a conservative monetary system. It's the first system that respects the laws of thermodynamics, and the laws of physics, and the laws of math, which means it is true and pure. It has integrity. If you have integrity, if you have something which is true and pure, and you have durability, then you can build a family around it, a life around it, a company around it, or civilization around it. Steel is concentrated energy in metallic form. You ever walk in a steel plant and you look at the energy going into steel refining? It's concentrated energy. The history of the human race is the civilization that channels energy most effectively always wins. Steel trumps iron. Iron trumps bronze. Bronze trumps rocks. Bows and arrows trump the guy with the spear. The guy with the spear beats the guy with the knife. It's always a matter. If you have air power, you beat land power. Sea power beats the army, and nuclear power trumps everybody. And so if I have steel, I have concentrated metallic energy, I can create a skyscraper punched up 100 stories in New York. How long will it last? 100 years. How long will a steel ship last? Longer than you will last, as long as it doesn't corrode. Wooden ships? Not so much. Wooden ships rot, right? You want to build a building and punch it up against gravity and hold it 100 years, you need concentrated energy. If you want to build a trust fund that'll last 100 years, how do you save $100,000 for 100 years and give it to your great-grandkids? You put it in the US dollar, you use 99% of your economic energy. You put it in gold, gold supply doubles every 30 years. The gold bankers keep inflating the gold. Maybe you lose 90% of your economic energy. But that would be a lucky happenstance because just about every country on earth seized the gold from their citizens in the last 100 years. Everybody, even the US, they take your gold.
Yeah.
So you want to save money for 100 years. You can't do it with the currency. You can't do it with gold. Which company is going to be around 100 years? You want to put $100,000 into real estate in Florida? Can you buy $100,000? Let's say you could. 2% tax, 4% maintenance fee, 4% of $100,000, $4,000 a year. Your money's not going to last 100 years. How do I preserve my property, which is economic energy, which is capital, which is money? How do I preserve that? I need something harder, more durable. I need a steel. I need an economic steel. Steel is concentrated metallic energy. Bitcoin is concentrated digital energy. It's energy in digital form. I eliminated the friction on energy. What's the half-life of energy? If I take a megawatt of power and I sell it at 12 cents a kilowatt hour, I have about $1 million. Okay, I'll give you $1 million of electricity. How long can you hold it in a battery? You lose 2% a month. You can't hold it very long. You're going to lose 24% depletion rate in a battery of electricity. How do you send $1 million of electricity from New York to Tokyo? You can't. You can send electricity 500 miles over a power line, you'll lose 6%. Send it 10 times, you'll lose 60%. It doesn't move. convert that energy, that electricity, into digital energy, a la Bitcoin. You upgrade it. If you were to convert a megawatt of power via a Bitcoin miner into Bitcoin, you'd have about $5 million worth of Bitcoin. You can hold it forever. You can send it to Tokyo for a nickel. You can put it in a trust fund. Bitcoin's going up 170% a year for a decade. The S&P 500 index is going up 14% a year on average for a decade. Gold, it's flat. It's not going anywhere. It's getting demonetized. It's a dead rock in a basement. It's not fast enough. You can't put gold on an iPhone. Gold's getting depleted, inflated, and manipulated away by the bankers and the miners. So Bitcoin is simply pure economic energy. These engineers, Satoshi and all of Satoshi's compatriots, what they did is created an engineered monetary asset on an open, permissionless network that anybody could participate in. Any country, any company, any individual. You don't need a bank. You don't need to ask permission. It is the ultimate egalitarian system.
And then what I wanted to do, now that I'm coming back from you guys, hopefully hearing the audio, I say hopefully because you never really know how the edit turns out while you're recording. You need to get it to the editing table. But what you just heard, or what I hope you just heard, and I'll tag the link in the show notes, is just a basic clip of Michael Saylor doing Michael Saylor shit. And I don't know, it says from Neil Jacobs. I don't know if Neil put it together, but I believe is Michael talking to Tucker Carlson. And it's just basically like Saylor has figured out his orange pilling pitch, and he understands how to talk about property. He understands how to talk about energy. He understands how to give these analogies of like a hole in the pipeline. And it was very fascinating to me. And yeah, I've had my things to say about Saylor. I still think it's very dangerous for one person to accumulate that much Bitcoin. Not hating on him. He can do so. But I still think there's implications there that we haven't thought about down the road. But boy, as I'm watching this, I believe 5-minute clip, was I sitting here thinking, damn, this guy understands it. Damn, this guy has the 101 here. And I'm sure you guys would agree, whether it's you heard it in the clip or whether it's, you just go to the link in the show notes and go to that clip. Check it out. He talks about Austrian economics and sound money principles. He talks about how Bitcoin is conservative monetary system, which I think is really dope. The first ever of its kind. He talks about how Bitcoin obeys the laws of physics, of math, which makes it ultimately pure truth. If you were to try to orange pill anybody, these are some of the foundational fundamentals that you need to understand in order to be able to talk to somebody and allow them to understand why Bitcoin is essential for them and why it's a need in their day-to-day life. So I wanted to bring up this clip because as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, damn, this guy knows how to talk about Bitcoin. And so that's something that I struggle with, sometimes that some of my listeners struggle with. And orange pilling is extremely hard sometimes. So check out that clip from Saylor. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And a really cool clip. I like how they put that together. So back to podcasting 2.0. We have Evan from Zeus, I believe, from Zeus Wallet that's introduced an Echo. And what Echo is a podcasting 2.0 web player that connects to your Lightning node. It's powered by Podcast Index and allows you to stream sats to this. There's also another one here called Podstation app. You could go check them out on Twitter. I'll put the link in the show notes here. But basically what this is getting at is now not even the website could block us from the RSS feed, right? So like now if you go to like, Spotify or anchor.com or any of these public places to go, even Fountain for that matter, right? Like we love Fountain, but even if you go to Fountain app and they kind of say, oh no, we're going to start censoring these podcasts and this is going against, Fountain or whoever's terms, conditions. Now all you need is to have a node, a Lightning node at that. And for the majority of other people that I know, that's very prevalent. And most people have either Get Umbro, they have a node or whatever. So now you can actually run a podcast player that you can stream value to from within inside your node. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I think BTC Pay started to talk about doing stuff from within the node. I covered that a few weeks ago on one of the solo rips. But now, developers like Evan, I believe it's Evan, I hope I'm not getting that wrong, from Zeus and developers on Podstation are now taking this to the next level and basically saying, hey, you can get a player that picks up RSS feeds that, you know, can run from within your node. So you would just have to like SSS bridge connect to your node, and you'll be able to stream sats and do that without being completely blocked from that website, or that website being taken down for whatever reason. And I think this is just more and more, back to the beginning of this episode when I was talking about keeping podcasts decentralized, that is more and more a thing that needs to be happening, and I'm excited for. The next best thing is for Zeus to put a podcast player inside of their wallet, which I wouldn't doubt that can happen now. Now you have Echo, now you have Zeus wallet. There has to be a universe where those two things can merge, sort of like a Breeze wallet, where you can have a POS system, right, or a wallet, basically, and then have the other side of that app or the different tab in that app be a podcast player. That's going to be fascinating to watch play out. I love my Zeus wallet. Zeus is actually one of the wallets that I use when it comes to connected. It's actually the wallet I use exclusively when it comes to connecting to my node. And now if I would be able to listen to podcasts and stream podcast sats through it, that's going to be a major win. Because remember, even though we love Fountain, that's still a custodial wallet. They have the power, they have the keys for that wallet, that Lightning wallet that you're using to receive sats, to send sats, to load up with sats. And Fountain is, you know, Bitcoin friendly and Bitcoin focused, but we still want to keep the escape hatch open. We still want to make sure that these wallets are not being compromised. We want to make sure that these wallets don't get locked down without our discretion. And that's what technology like this, from Echo from Zeus, is going to be able to do, is going to be able to allow us to basically have our own non-custodial Lightning wallet where we can interact with value for value and be able to share sets with our favorite creators. So the RSS feed is completely decentralized technology and allows us to say what we want when we want. Value for Value allows our listeners and anybody who wants to donate and contribute continue to do so without the visas of the world involved, in a decentralized fashion, a fraction of a penny, right? Which the biggest tech companies don't even support or don't even do. And now with this technology of having podcast players inside of Lightning nodes, we're able to even separate and decentralize the ability for a website to get shut down. So you can't shut down the voice. You can't shut down the value that's being received by that voice. And now you can't shut down the website that's hosting that content of that voice. Because if you were to attack all of those, Bitcoiners specifically and value for value enthusiasts can now circumvent that and go around and still be able to talk, still be able to receive and send value, and still be able to have a platform where the player can actually play these episodes for the avid listeners. I saw Adam Curry was getting a bunch of shit. I think it was underneath one of my posts where basically, he wasn't decentralized enough. And I agree. I don't want to sum up that whole combo because I didn't follow the whole thread. But one thing that Adam Curry said, which is super, super important, is I am decentralized, right? That's one thing to understand. The people, they said this to him in Facebook. They said this to this in Reddit, where it's like, you're making a big mistake by, basically moving to platforms that are decentralized. And what his basic view is, and I 1,000% agree with this, and this is all a paraphrase, of course. Adam Curry is much more eloquent, and what I'm saying is, hey, that's what they said to me when I was leaving there. Whoever wants to listen to what I have to say will make sure that they come and follow me where I go and where they can get that content. That's a paraphrase, but I understand that, and I emphasize with that very well, and I relate to that very well, because that's my whole point here. Is I'm not trying to set up a feed where I could be shut down by Anchor, or I could be shut down by sponsors and all that. I'm trying to set up a feed where I can continue to talk my shit as much as I want for as long as I want, with nobody being able to shut that down. And this stuff makes me excited because podcasting, as I've always said, is the last stand that we have for free speech. And now it's getting more and more secure and censorship resistant. And this is a battle. Yes, the money is the battle. Bitcoin is the battle. But free speech is also a battle that Bitcoiners have taken on. And this is important. So just to sum it up, I always say this all the time. Bitcoiners are tackling food. Bitcoiners are tackling the money. Bitcoin's are tackling healthcare. And Bitcoiners and Bitcoin are tackling free speech. And that's very important for us to understand and for us to support in any way, shape, or form, whether it's a split that goes to OpenSat so we can continue to see these type of improvements, whether it's actually doing it ourselves, educating on it, et cetera, et cetera. It's our mission to be able to control all these facets. Do we have to do it alone? No, we have teams, and I spoke about that earlier in this relationship. We have thousands and thousands of Bitcoiners that understand that we all fight every single day, but awareness is a thing, and we need to make sure that we keep up on that. So that wraps up Solo Rip number 26. Let's keep value for value going. You guys know where to find us. That's Fountain, that's Breeze. But as you can see, it can be we're from using Echo inside of your Lightning node. You can find us there too. Stream us some sats. Keep this movement alive. Let us know how we can improve. Let us know what you want to see or who you want to see on the show, and we can do that as well. If you want this 4K content, Bitcoin TV is the place to get it. And if you're not on the Bitcoin standard of things, then you can absolutely go check us out on the legacy platforms. Rate, share, and subscribe. That's how we get the message to go up. I appreciate y'all as always. This wraps up Solo Rip number 26. I'll catch y'all next week. Later.